Okay, welcome to my channel. This is Darcy's Misadventures with Mixed Media. I'm back in my studio for about a week before I go back up to Massachusetts for vacation. For those who don't know, I was just up in Massachusetts for 3 weeks to help my aunt and my gram. Now my dad's there, so it's all good. But I've been watching... Stop saying Darcy. Come on. I've been watching Words and Pictures, which is Alison Bomber. She designs for Paper Artsy, I believe. And she has me obsessed with distress oxides now. I mean, I had some, and now I have a lot more because I didn't have any with me. I didn't bring any, so I had to buy some because you know how we do. So I got home, and I was like, okay, I want to try to make some like batik looking type paper. And I started with my sketch paper, that was cheap from the thrift store, because I wanted like a big piece. And it didn't work. In fact, that would be, let's see, one of these. That would be this one here, I think is, I mean, it works okay here. If this is what that, I think this is the Bristol sketchbook paper. I'm not sure. I tried it on another sketchbook paper as well, because one sketchbook paper is not the same as another sketchbook paper. And you might have different results depending on which sketchbook paper you have. So like this is sketchbook paper. And I believe that this is sketchbook paper, and I got two totally different results from them. Of course, this is light ink, so that makes a difference, but yeah, so you know, you got to try your things to see what happens. So anyway, I'm putting down ink, Distress Oxide inks. You can use Distress inks, Stampin' Up! Inks work. Any non-permanent water-soluble ink will work for this technique, but not all paper will. That's my point. Like, I want you to use what you have. But what you have, like if you're trying to redo, like do this, what I'm doing and it's not working, it could be one thing you're doing is different enough that it's just not working for you. So this was, I think it's Fuji or something like that, sketchbook paper. So try the different papers you have. I tried a couple book pages, so you could see, you know, the stamp showed up a little bit there, and these are water droplets. We could see a little bit here and there. It's not super, you know, obvious on these. And this is another book page, which of course the yellow you can't hardly see, but it did lift it a little bit. And then this one was the water droplets. And on some of the paper, like I would wait 5 seconds and then clean it up with the paper. I'll show you the whole process in a minute, but I'm going to show you with the one that came out the best, which was not those. This is 20-pound paper. So just 20-pound copy paper. It did halfway decent. You don't have to use the paper towel on that one because it soaks in and dries so fast. That's some of these papers, that's what it did. Like I count to 5, and by the time I counted to 5, it was already soaked in and there was nothing to pull up. This is 24. It's a little not, you know, it's a little less obvious, I guess the words I would say. So that's the drops, that's the stamp. I use the same stamps on all of them. And this is 32-pound premium presentation. Like 24 is multi-purpose, the 20 is just copy paper. This is 32-pound. It soaked in real fast too, so it lightened, but I wasn't able to pick it back up because it just soaked into the paper and you can barely see the droplets. Now this is file folder, right? Yes, this is file folder on the smooth side because I have file folders that kind of have a rough side, and so I use the smooth side because a lot of file folders, if they're either smooth on both sides or at least smooth on one side. And so that's how that one came out. And that's, Alison Bomber likes to use file folders a lot. And then this is the rougher side, and it just absorbed the water. Like I got the drops and the stamp on there. It's real super subtle. So if you want to go super subtle and not have to use a paper towel, you can use the rough side of a file folder. But that, and of course, you know, you've got the creamy color coming up too. That's going to affect your colors as they come up. Now this is mixed media paper. I don't know which one. One of the, you know, something I get from Walmart. So you can kind of see, I don't get as clear, and I was using my gel plate to dip my stamp in to get it wet so that I could get it sort of consistently and not so wet that it's dripping too much water. This one came out nice and clear though. This one must have had just a little too much water, and that's the drip. So that's the mixed media paper. That one I say is successful, and also these two so far are somewhat successful. This is watercolor paper. That was definitely successful. And this one is, what is CS? I know what CS means. Oh, cardstock. So this is just cardstock. That was, I mean, it dried real fast too. It just soaks in. But you do get a differentiation. So it will work. So if all you have is cardstock, that will work. This is, why did I just put R? Oh, resume paper. So this is like, you know, it's got some cotton or linen or whatever in it. I was surprised how well that worked. I mean, look how crisp that is right there. So I will be using resume paper at some point in some time. And the Bristol paper, which I thought was going to be the best, I mean, it did okay, but it's not my, you know, it's not my favorite. And that's what I was working with when I was in Massachusetts. So I thought, well, surely that would be it. Well, so far, this resume paper, which I get at the thrift store cheap, don't ever buy it new, was a winner. And the watercolor paper was definitely a winner. And this is probably more like a 95 pound than a 140. It's not as heavy as some of the other watercolor paper. The mixed media paper did okay. I think part of this was user error. And the file folders did great. I want to use something that anybody could get is a thing. Well, it doesn't really matter. I think I will, this is the watercolor. I think the Bristol is not something everybody can get. Maybe a file folder. Cardstock. I'll use the cardstock. That makes sense. Everybody can, and this cardstock was like a cream colored cardstock. Anybody can get cardstock. I will use the cardstock to show you this technique. Now, and I just did these 6x3 because that is a size I like to play with. So here is a piece of cardstock. It feels the same on both sides. We're not going to worry about that. So I just take my oxides and let's see, I did try one using my VersaFine Mementos and the chalk inks, and it didn't do as well on, what is this, Bristol paper. So we will try that with the cardstock too. I don't think I have another of this size of the cardstock, but that way we'll know which is which. I know the Stampin' Up! Inks work because that's what my aunt has. So I will do a few things here. So I'll show you what I'm trying to do, the technique I'm trying to do. But first I'm going to drop all the things and be annoyed with myself and wonder where in the world I put all the brushes. I moved them out of the way so they wouldn't be in the way. Now, you can use what you want. You can use these or you can use this. And with the thing that I'm going to do, if you get like circles showing on your, it won't matter that much because we're going to pull a lot off with inks. So I'm just trying to find, but you don't want to use the same brushes in your Distress Oxides as you do in your Distress Inks or other inks. So, you know, there's that. Let's see. Chip Sapphire, no, I got too many colors. All right, let's go with Ground Espresso and, you know, Uncharted Mariner. Maybe even a little Faded Jeans or something, we'll see. So, blue. So we'll only need those two brushes. And that is an ink brush, not an oxide brush. So all I do is, I try to come off from the side. And also, if you have cardstock, a thicker paper is a little bit easier. When I was doing the book pages, it just kept, it was hard to do. And this apparently is too. And so I was just having to keep going like this because every time I tried to come in from the page, it would, you know, be a pain. But, you know. And you can do it on one color, you can do 2 colors, 3 colors, 5, do whatever you want for colors. In fact, when I was brushing from the side, some of these colors were coming into it from here, you know, before it got wet. Now it's like all wet and whatnot, but before that's what I was doing. Now, what do I do with these after I get them all how I want them, you ask? I doodle on them, or I might add a cutout. They're just great backgrounds, that's all. I mean, I haven't put them on my community page yet, but on my Instagram page and my Facebook page, I did show, I'm not using these inks, pay attention. All right, I did show what I have been doing. These have oxides on them, but I don't care. I want to try this with the Versa Magic chalk ink. We'll do that down here. And it might not work. It might work, it might not. It wasn't working as well on the Bristol board. And see, I'm not getting it on there perfect. I'm getting darker and lighter spots. It's okay. Let's see, I'll put another color on there maybe. Ooh, maybe a little bit of this green. No, I'm just going to use this again. I don't mind if my blues and greens get mixed up a little bit. That doesn't bother me too much. And I'm not doing it perfectly, and part of that is just to show you that, you know, when I'm done with this process, it won't really matter. I used this before just so it would be the same thing on everybody's, but that's not necessarily what I want to use. I think I'll use this time, and there might still be some ink on it, and that's okay. All right. So I'm just kind of getting my stamp wet, make sure there's nothing in the crevices, and this does hold a lot. So if I just kind of do that, and that's gonna dry. I like, don't even have to lift that up because I don't know, for some reason on the cardstock or whatever, it does that. It just, and now you'll be able to see the difference between what happens with the oxides and what happens with just a regular ink. But the Stampin' Up! Did really well. Like, oh shoot, why don't I have it with me? I wish I had the one I made. I did it all one color. I put it in my community tab so you can see it. But I used like one ink in the background and then lifted some up with the water and then stamped the same color on top, which was kind of cool. And I might do that with this. What did I use on this? Oh, Faded Jeans. It'll be different with the oxides. And yes, there's still some wet on there, which is going to affect it as well, but that might not be a bad thing. So I'm going for this like batik look, like where it gets lighter in the background kind of. I mean, we can even do a little bit of the splatters and whatnot. They can be big splatters, small splatters, it doesn't matter. And look at that, where that line was, the splatter only affected what was behind it. I find that absolutely interesting. And then I'm going to put this, not in the same place, I'm overlapping it in different places, so it's kind of like a pattern on pattern, and I think that's really cool. Like, I like that you've got shadows of it in the background and then you've got it in the foreground. I like that. I really do. Alright, now we're just going to take as much of that off of there as possible because I also want to do it on here. Just, I know you don't usually see me do stuff like that. Let's do some of this chalk ink on here and see how that looks. Of course, this is, you know, we're going to lose some of it. I mean, I'll just do it. So this flower's over here. I'm just going to do a flower over there. In places where there aren't already flowers, basically. And then I think it kind of gives it sort of a batik-y look with having that in the background and having another one in the foreground. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm imagining things. But, so like, yeah, I could go back through all these and do a stamp on the front. I could do more stamps. Oh, yeah, there was something else that happens when I used regular inks. Let's try it on this is the Bristol board. So let's just go ahead and put this ink down. Maybe do a better job than I did last time. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Oh, look at that. It doesn't matter. It's not that big a deal. It's just getting some ink on there. Oh, ripping my paper because it's wet. That's what that's about. I will say, even with the Bristol board, the Stampin' Up! Inks went on pretty well. So if you've been to a party and you were like, bought inks, and you're like, but now what do I do with these Stampin' Up! Inks? That works. And then I have these Ocean, but you know, I know a lot of us have the Tim Holtz ones. So, you know, use the Tim Holtz, use what you got. Let's just get a little bit of the splatters for, oh, my paper towel's so wet, it's just gonna, oh, and I really like when it adds texture from, alright, so that did not pick up so well. See, how did it do? Oh, that's because that was cardstock, right? I don't know. Anyway, alright, well, that's not what I was doing anyway. Why didn't you remind me? That's not what I was doing. I'm getting this wet. It's gonna leave some blue too, but oh well. And it's going to leave a lot of blue. This is not what I was trying to do, just FYI. What I was trying to do is show you that then when you go over the wet with the other inks, it darkens it, but it's not going to do that now because it also left ink. Maybe I could just edit that out. I'm not going to edit that out. Alright. Let's try it on here. Oh, it's still a lot blue, isn't it? Maybe find one that's, see, that one's already back there. See, this is dry now, so that's a good thing. That's what I need. I need it to be dry. Okay, let's try one that is not foam. So now and also, you know, you don't have to have the foam stamps to do this. But I would do it this way just so that, there's some ink on there, but that's okay. Alright, so I'm gonna it's not gonna be totally dry, but I'm just picking up some of that. I mean, I kind of want to just leave it as it is because that's cool. But let's try just adding some of this. So this is what happens. Where it's still a little bit wet, the ink kind of sticks to it differently. Is what was happening with the Stampin' Up! Inks. And I was like, maybe that will do it. Didn't really do it so much with the Distress inks. But with these, it just kind of picked it up differently. So that's what I was trying to show you, is that it just picked it up a little darker where the wet, or not even wet, but just the damp stamping was. And I thought that was kind of cool, especially if you're going for a grungy look. I thought it was just kind of cool. Whoops, sorry. I touched things which affected my mirror. My light. That's got oxides on it. This just has Distress inks. Oh, this is definitely a more opaque one though, so it would have been fine to use. What is this? So the chalk inks might be more opaque anyway. They might be they're not like Distress inks though. They're really not. Or Distress oxides, I should say. Let's try this real quick. See if this, I mean, it's a lighter color. I know you're thinking, but lady, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Just keep brushing on stuff until you like it. I don't know. It's different. It's grungy. It's something. I will probably this week also play with my Distress inks. Just my regular Distress inks. You know, my baby ones. To see about getting this kind of effect too. But for now, I've been playing with my oxides. And this is what I wanted to show you guys. Do the water. And then do your inks on top of that, or just do the water to get cool backgrounds. I just need to figure out how to get it. I wanted to do journal pages, so I was trying to figure out how to do it on bigger pieces of paper. So that's partly why I started with this big sketchbook paper is what I had been starting with, and all kinds of not great things happened. So cardstock did okay. Bristol board did okay. So this is, and the resume paper actually did pretty well. So resume paper I want to play around with off camera, and I knew the watercolor would do good. And the mixed media did okay. It did good too. But this is the mixed media. What's this? Oh, the file folders. File folders did halfway decent, as did the mixed media. Not the rough side of the file folder. Let's see if I could get some. Yeah, in the regular paper, that's 32 pound, 24 pound, and the 20 pound is I don't know, if you're just doing drips, it picks it up pretty well, but it wrinkles your paper. The 20 pound just wrinkles it, and it goes through. I don't know. Could work. Now I could get all over easily if I was using my wet inks. That'll be the next video. I will probably play with my wet inks and see about lifting off. I don't always get that kind of a, I don't know, but I just like this look. Do you like this look? I like this look. Alright, hope you guys have a delightful day. Love you.